Hello everyone, welcome to another weekly reads, and this week was very exciting because I got my first shot of the vaccine, so I'm partially vaccinated now. Also, if you see that my hair is a bit wet, it's because I went to the swimming pool today. I have been trying to go for a few weeks now since they opened, but there's a reservation system and it's always full, so I never got a spot, and finally I was able to get a spot and go for a swim today, so I'm very happy about that. So yeah, it was a good week. I also finished quite a few things, so let's go into them. The first one I finished is 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami, which was my reread for this month, and it's a trilogy. This is the third book of the trilogy. And it was interesting, as I have said before in other videos. I quite enjoyed the story. I think it's very captivating and very atmospheric, but also Murakami is a very problematic author. It has a lot of sexualization of women in his books, and I'm not a fan of that. But if the worst for that was the second book in the trilogy, and if you are able to pass through that, the rest of the things in the story are really captivating. They're good stories, so I'm happy that I reread this and I confirm my opinion. I also had forgotten a lot of the things that happened in this third book, so I'm happy I reread it. The next book I finished this week is Blonde Roots by Bernadine Evaristo, and this one is about an alternative world in which basically the African people have enslaved Europeans and took them to America, which in this book is called New Japan, and to work in plantations as slaves. So it's kind of the flip narrative, and I normally don't enjoy Bernadine Evaristo's characters. I find them quite annoying. I think in this one was okay, so it's probably the one that I have enjoyed from her the most. I thought that some of the commentary was very clever on how a culture becomes the norm. Things like women trying to tan creams and putting dreadlocks on their hair, and about how obviously the cold weather made them inferior to be able to deal with life, and things like that that people still do believe about black people today sometimes. So this one goes into that, but in reverse, which I thought it was really a really interesting perspective. The only thing I will say, it was a little bit weird at times. Like there were times in which I didn't know what the timeline was, because as I said, they had tan creams and things like that, but also it looked like the society in England was very feudal, and there was witch hunts, and there was also not that much technology. Like they were using ships to go to America, and I don't know, there was a few things that were a bit weird for me. It was trying to encompass several centuries of history in one storyline, which didn't always work. Also, I thought something very small, but I found kind of overlooked, is the fact that they say how these savages in England drank tea, which was like, it looked like soil water, which, yeah, I mean, I get the point, but at the same time, if England was not a colonial power, I do not know if they would have had this obsession with tea, and that was overlooked. Obviously, it was one instance of that, so it's not like it's gonna ruin the book, but there were a few things like that that felt a little bit inconsistent with how I think some things were. But yeah, overall I think it was a very smart, very interesting look at slavery from a flip perspective, and I think that some people will benefit from reading this and realizing how many ingrained thoughts they have about black people and slavery, and all those people that say that slaves were actually happy and they deserved it and all of that, they should probably read this book. And then the last one I just finished last night, and that's Patsy by Nicole Dennis-Benn. How I always heard this described is as the story of Patsy, who is a Jamaican woman, and she has a daughter in Jamaica, but she leaves the daughter and goes to the US, to New York, because she wants to spend the rest of her life with her lover, female lover. And that is true, but in the first 50 to 100 pages, it becomes really clear that this relationship that Patsy went to America for is not going to work, that her friend or her lover does have a husband and she's not going to leave him for Patsy. So it's not about that relationship as much. It's more about Patsy and her daughter, and the fact that Patsy never wanted to be a mother. It was kind of a forced thing that happened to her, because when she got pregnant, she was not allowed to have an abortion, so she was forced to have this child, and then everyone expected her to love the child, but she was not able at the time because she was not prepared. She was not. She doesn't have a motherly instincts, so she never did that, and she just wanted this life that was more than what she could get in Jamaica, and that's why she went to the US. That's what she was searching in the US, and it's also a lot about Patsy struggling to make a living in the US as an illegal immigrant, and how that, and just put her life together, a life that she actually wants to live. And how that affects the daughter, of course, because I'm not saying that that was a good thing that she just left the daughter and never looked back, but I do think that there is certain expectations from a woman when they become a mother that they are not there for the father, and I think that in this book we explore that, and I think that's quite a good exploration of it. I quite enjoyed this book as well. I have to say, I think I prefer Here Comes the Sun by Nicole Dennis-Benn, because it's more focused in Jamaica, but I still enjoyed this one and I'm glad I read it. Then what I am currently reading, or sort of currently reading, I read the introduction of The View from Africa, which is a Granta magazine with short stories from different African writers. They also have really cool pictures from different people and different places in Africa, which is pretty cool. But yeah, the introduction so far was quite good. It talked about how we always think about Africa as a unified sort of culture, whereas it's completely not. It's a huge continent, and there's so many different tribes, so many different cultures, so many different languages. And if you go to Ghana, probably the culture in Ghana has as much to do with the culture in South Africa as the culture in Spain has to do with the culture in Russia or Uzbekistan. And we never think about it that way. So yeah, I was really interested in the introduction, and I'm looking forward to see how that idea carries on in the rest of the short stories. So yeah, I'm really excited for this one. And then regarding what I'm going to read next week, apart from that one, I don't really know. I think that because it's short stories, maybe it's well pair with some non-fiction, but also because next week is next month, I also have my reread project to pick up. So let's see what comes out. Red Clocks by Leni Zumas. That one is about abortion as well, and sort of a Handmaid's Tale kind of world in which abortion is not allowed, and you follow, I think it was 4 people trying to figure things out in relation to childbirth and abortion and motherhood and stuff like that. So that one I'm really looking forward to. And then the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is the fact that I have a small book haul. I bought some books, and I bought 3 books, and I'm going to tell you why. So the reason I bought these 3 books is because of this one. This chunker of a book is A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth, and Lauren and I want to reread this one soon. And I thought the library had it, but I checked, and I think someone stole it or something because it's not in the list anymore. I'm pretty sure I have checked before and it was there, but it's not there anymore. And they had only the ebook version, and I don't want to read this in an ebook. So I decided to buy it secondhand. I bought it from this website called World of Books, which has secondhand books. And they were having an offer of 3 books. You had extra discounts, so I bought another 2 books. That's what happened. And the other 2 books I bought is, the first one is the Book of Strange New Things by Michel Faber. I have read this one from the library and I really enjoyed it, and it's also in my reread jar, so I thought I would buy it because it was like £2 or £3. So yeah. And the other one I've bought is All Over Creation by Ruth Ozeki, because it's the last one I have to read from her, and I'm super excited about this one. It's about, I think it's just about the exploration of the agricultural industry, and I loved My Year of Meats, which explores the cow industry and the meat industry in the US, and this one is more about the seeds and the plants. But yeah, I think I'm going to love this one, so I bought this one as well. So yeah, these are the 3 books I bought, which I'm very excited about. And Lauren, if you have forgotten, we are reading this at some point. I bought it, so we can read it now. Yeah, so that was all I have to say for this week. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have read any of the books in this list. Let me know if you have any thoughts about these 3 books. And until next week, bye!